The sound a taser makes is unmistakable. It's this angry electric zap crackle, and it's not a sound you ever expect to hear in the refrigerated tea aisle on a Tuesday afternoon. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before the screaming, the blood, and the tasering, all I wanted was a bottle of peach tea. That's it. That's how this whole mess started. I was standing there, probably looking a little too intently at the different brands, when I heard it. A sharp, impatient clearing of a throat right behind me. The kind of sound that isn't just about getting your attention. It's about announcing that your very existence is an inconvenience. I turned around. She was maybe in her mid-50s, with that helmet of blonde, heavily hairsprayed hair that I've come to associate with a demand to speak to the manager. Her purse was probably worth more than my car, and she held it like a weapon. She said again, her eyes flicking over me with disdain. Thinking I was in her way, I did what any normal person would do. Oh, sorry, I said, and shuffled a few feet down the aisle. This, apparently, was the wrong move. Excuse me, she snapped, her voice tight. I need you to help me find the gluten-free oat crisps. I couldn't help but let out a short laugh. Ma'am, I can barely find my own tea, good luck. I turned back to the refrigerator case. I don't think you understand, she said, her voice dropping a full octave. I am a customer and you are refusing to do your job. I will be having a word with your manager. I sighed, the kind of deep, soul-weary sigh you save for the truly special moments in life. Lady, for the third time, leave me alone. I don't work. Here, I gestured to my jeans and plain t-shirt, which I now realized was a shade of blue unfortunately similar to the store's uniform. That's when her finger shot out, jabbing the air an inch from my nose. You are a lazy, useless a-hole. I held up my hands. I might be an a-hole, I admitted, but I'm an a-hole who still doesn't work here. That broke her. She lunged forward and grabbed my shoulder, her fingers digging in as she tried to physically spin me around. It was pure instinct. I twisted away, pushed her arm off me, and gave her a firm shove back. It wasn't a huge push, but her balance was terrible. She stumbled backward, crashing into her own shopping cart with a loud clatter of metal and a yelp of surprise. She scrambled up, her face a mask of purple fury. Her eyes darted around, and she bellowed for the whole store to hear, "He's a racist bastard. This man assaulted me because I'm white." I'm a white guy, a little tan maybe, but white. The sheer weaponized stupidity of it made my blood boil. All the frustration of the day, of the week, just erupted out of me. Are you out of your mind? You're the racist, you entitled effing psycho. I was yelling now, and I didn't care who heard. That's when she slapped me, a loud, sharp crack that echoed in the aisle. The sting was instant, and so was my reaction. I slapped her right back. It wasn't my proudest moment, but in that split second, it felt like the only possible response. Hey, a panicked-looking store manager, a kid who couldn't have been more than 20, came running over. What's going on here? I'm calling the police. The woman immediately turned on the waterworks, clutching her cheek. This employee attacked me. I want him fired. He assaulted me. You can't fire me, you lunatic, because I don't work here, I yelled just as she charged me again. This time she swung her heavy purse like a medieval flail. I threw my arm up to block it, and the strap wrapped around my forearm. I yanked my arm back to get free, and the momentum sent the purse flying out of her hands and skittering across the floor. She let out a shriek and came at me with her hands, nails first. She raked her talons down my forearm, and I felt a hot, sharp pain. I looked down and saw 4 angry red lines welling up with blood, actual blood. That's when the 2 police officers arrived. Naturally, seeing a screaming woman and a guy with a bloody arm, they went for me first. I was spun around and cuffed before I could even get a full sentence out. As one officer was tending to my now bleeding arm, the other tried to get a statement. The woman became hysterical. "What are you doing? It's him, arrest him," she shrieked, pointing at me. When the officer calmly told her to step back, she actually tried to pull him away from me. That's when the second cop's whole demeanor changed. His hand went to his belt. "Ma'am, step back now, final warning." She didn't. She lunged toward me again, trying to get past the cop. "Taser, taser, taser," he yelled. And that's when we all heard it, that angry electric zap crackle. She stiffened, her eyes wide with shock, and then crumpled to the linoleum floor, twitching. The first officer uncuffed me immediately. "Sorry about that, sir. Let's get your side of the story." I explained everything, my adrenaline-fueled physical reaction to being grabbed and then clawed. They reviewed the security footage, which thankfully backed me up completely. I pressed charges. You better believe I pressed charges. As they loaded her, still moaning, into the back of a squad car, she was screaming about suing me, the store, the police department, and probably the entire city. The last thing I did before leaving the store was call my lawyer to get the ball rolling on a civil suit. And as I walked out into the parking lot, my arm stinging under a cheap bandage, I looked back at the automatic doors. My peach tea was still in there, sitting on a shelf, perfectly chilled. I almost went back in to get it. Almost.
Still watching? Dang, you must love internet drama. Smash subscribe. It's cheaper than therapy.
Alright, folks of r/IDontWorkHereLady, buckle up, cause I've got a wild one for you from my freelancing days. So picture this, I'm at this massive furniture warehouse. Not as a sales guy, mind you, I was hired to set up some new display units and handle a bit of merchandising. Definitely not on their payroll, no uniform, just a dude with a toolkit and a to-do list. I'm weaving through aisles of sofas and wardrobes, basically minding my own business, when this sweet-looking older lady, bless her heart, taps me on the arm. "Excuse me, dear," she says, all soft-spoken, "could you point me to the restrooms?" Now I'm a helpful sort. And she looked a bit lost, so I figured, why not? I walked her over, we had a nice little chat about her grandkids, super pleasant. You know, the kind of interaction that restores your faith in humanity a little. Yeah, well, that faith was about to get stress tested. No sooner am I heading back to my actual work than this woman, let's call her Karen Prime, practically materializes in front of me. She's got that "I want to speak to the manager" haircut, and trailing behind her is a teenage daughter, already radiating pure, unadulterated boredom and contempt for everything around her. "You," Karen Prime barks, jabbing a finger in my direction, "I need you to find me the Coastal Dreams distressed white coffee table. Now." I held up my hands, polite as can be. "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't actually work for the store. I'm just a contractor here for the day." She just blinked like I'd spoken in ancient Sumerian. "Don't be ridiculous. You're here, you're in the aisle. Help me." Her voice was already starting to get that sharp, grating edge. "Ma'am, I genuinely don't have access to their inventory system or anything." I tried again, keeping my cool. "But I'm sure if you go to the front desk, someone there can." "I don't have time for the front desk," she snapped. Her face was getting flushed. "If you don't help me right now, I'm going to make sure this store never sees a cent from me again, and I'll tell all my friends." "Okay, deep breaths, right? I understand you're frustrated," I said, still trying to de-escalate, "but I literally cannot help you. I'm not an employee." That's when Minnie Karen, the daughter, decided to chime in with this smug little smirk. "Mom, he was totally rude to us. He even cursed at me when we asked for help." My jaw just about hit the floor. What? No, I absolutely did not. I haven't said a single curse word. I was genuinely stunned. This was escalating way faster than I anticipated. Karen Prime puffed up like an angry toad. "Oh, so now you're calling my daughter a liar? I knew it. You're a horrible, disrespectful person. I want your name. I'm reporting you to corporate." Just as I was wondering if I should just walk away, a real store employee, let's call him Dave, he had a name tag and everything, appeared like a retail angel. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Karen Prime whirled on him. This employee of yours was incredibly rude, refused to help us, and then swore at my daughter." Dave looked at me, then at Karen, then back at me with a subtle, almost imperceptible eye roll that said, "Yeah, I get these." He listened patiently as Karen ranted. Then he looked at me again, and I saw a little spark of mischief in his eye. "Ma'am," Dave said, his voice suddenly taking on a tone of hushed awe, "I think there's been a misunderstanding. This isn't one of our regular staff. This is Aaron Paul, you know, from Breaking Bad. He's here doing some, celebrity consultation for our new line." I blinked. Aaron Paul, me? I guess I had a beanie on, but Dave delivered it with such conviction I almost believed him. Karen Prime's jaw, which had been set in a firm line of outrage, suddenly slackened. Her eyes widened. Aaron Paul, Jesse Pinkman. Minnie Karen, for the first time, actually looked interested, her phone suddenly halfway out of her pocket. The one and only, Dave said, nodding gravely. He likes to be incognito when he's working on these creative projects. I decided to just roll with it, and what did I have to lose? I gave a small, sheepish wave. Yeah, yo, I guess, nailed it. Karen Prime was practically vibrating. Oh my God, Tiffany, it's him. Can we get a photo? So there I am, Aaron Paul, posing for slightly awkward photos with Karen Prime, who insisted on putting her arm around me like we were old pals, and a suddenly starstruck Tiffany. Even her mom, who I assume was the sweet old lady I helped earlier, or maybe another relative Karen had in tow. The situation was devolving rapidly, got roped into a group shot. It was surreal. After the impromptu photo shoot, Karen Prime, still buzzing, strutted to the checkout with her Coastal Dreams coffee table, which Dave had magically located for her. Then, the grand finale. She tried to pay for it using a coupon that had expired 6 months ago. When the cashier politely told her it wasn't valid, Karen Prime absolutely lost it. All the celebrity awe vanished, replaced by pure, unadulterated rage. This is an outrage. After the terrible service and then trying to trick me with this actor nonsense, you even honor a coupon. Dave just stood there, a masterpiece of customer service stoicism. She ranted for another 5 minutes, then, huffing and puffing, declared she was taking her business elsewhere, and stormed out, dragging a mortified Tiffany with her, leaving the coffee table behind. No purchase, and I guess her Aaron Paul photos suddenly felt a lot less special. Once they were gone, Dave and I just looked at each other and burst out laughing. Aaron Paul, huh, I said, shaking my head. Hey man, he grinned, you gotta fight crazy with crazy sometimes. Thanks for playing along. It was definitely one of the weirdest days I've ever had on a freelance gig, but honestly, outsmarting that tornado of entitlement with a bit of quick thinking and a Breaking Bad reference, totally worth it, still makes me chuckle.
Hey everyone on r/IDontWorkHereLady. Cameron here, and let me tell you, life working for Amazon Flex in a small town can be, well, it's never boring. Sometimes you just gotta roll with the weirdness, you know. This one happened to my husband recently, and we still laugh about it. So we both do Amazon Flex deliveries. It's a pretty straightforward gig, pick up packages, drop them off. Easy peasy, but our car is this super bright, almost obnoxiously cheerful shade of blue. It really stands out. Not exactly the kind of car you disappear in, which turns out is kind of important in this story. One afternoon, my husband was out on a route, driving the bright blue beacon through some residential streets. He told me he noticed people kinda looking as he drove by, which isn't totally unusual because, yeah, the car is that color, but he said it felt like maybe a bit more than usual, like folks were really paying attention. Things got properly strange when he pulled up to a house right at the end of a dead-end street. He was just getting ready to hop out with a package when bam, a sheriff's car lights up behind him and blocks the only way out. My husband's stomach totally dropped. I mean, you're just trying to deliver a package, right? The last thing you expect is to get boxed in by the cops. The sheriff got out, walked up to the car, and the first thing he said was, "Excuse me, sir, I've received several calls about a suspicious vehicle and a man delivering packages in the area. Could I see some identification, please?" Now my husband is usually pretty chill, but being stopped like that after noticing people watching him, he felt a bit put on the spot, maybe even defensive. Like, seriously. I'm suspicious, but he kept it cool, reached for his wallet and handed over his ID. While the sheriff was looking at his ID, he also asked to see the Amazon Flex app on my husband's phone, just to verify the route in the package. As he's scrolling through, my husband could see a small crowd starting to gather down the street, watching the whole thing unfold. And of course, right at the front, practically on the road, was that neighbor. Every town has one, right? The one who knows everything and is always watching from behind the curtains. This lady is legendary in the neighborhood for being incredibly nosy, always has her nose in other people's business. My husband instantly knew she'd be soaking up every single detail of this. The sheriff finished checking the phone and ID, everything clearly matched up. He looked up, probably about to give my husband the all clear, and that's when he spotted the nosy neighbor practically hovering. He sighed a big, tired-looking sigh and pointed. "Hey, ma'am. Were you one of the folks who called this in?" Caught completely off guard by being addressed directly, the neighbor looked like a deer in headlights. She stammered, "Oh well, I just wanted to make sure everything was all right." Her face was starting to turn red. The sheriff gave her a look that clearly said, "Don't play dumb with me." He knew. He definitely knew. "Right," he said dryly, making sure everything was all right, because a bright blue car delivering packages looks really suspicious, doesn't it? He wasn't even really talking to her anymore, more just venting his frustration. "Honestly, ma'am, you're wasting my time. I've confirmed he's a legitimate delivery driver. We get calls like this far too often because people jump to conclusions instead of just minding their own business." He turned back to my husband, who was honestly trying so hard not to crack up. "All right, sir," the sheriff said, sounding much more relaxed now. "Everything checks out, sorry for the trouble, just doing my job based on the reports." My husband, completely relieved and privately amused, thanked him and quickly finished delivering the package. As he drove away, carefully navigating past the sheriff's car and the still-watching crowd, he glanced in his rearview mirror. There was the nosy neighbor still standing there, looking absolutely mortified. The sheriff was talking to her briefly, probably reiterating what he'd just said about wasting his time, before getting back in his car. She'd called the cops on a legitimate worker because his car was a funny color and he was doing his job, caused a whole scene, got called out by the sheriff in front of her neighbors, and basically just embarrassed herself completely. So yeah, sometimes you don't even have to deal with the "I don't work here" part directly. Sometimes, the lady who thinks you don't work there calls the actual authorities, only to get shut down by them instead. Hope you guys got a chuckle out of that one. Stay safe out there and maybe avoid driving suspiciously bright cars, I guess. Ha.
This next video hits the same vibe. Check it out.